Welcome to the Exit Plan Show. Today's guest is John Brown. He's with Business Enterprise Institute in Golden, Colorado, and he's the author of How to Run Your Business So You Can Leave It in Style, which is the #1 selling book about exit planning. For more information about John and his book, take a look at our show notes after this episode. Thank you to Zarlingo Robb, CPAs and Business Advisors in Wheat Ridge, Colorado, for providing a location for us to film this episode. At Zarlingo Robb, they think like business owners. For more information about Zarlingo Robb, please click the link in our website show notes. Hi, I'm Norman A. Hood, financial advisor and host of the Exit Plan Show. I interview America's top advisors to help business owners like you enjoy more freedom, grow your company faster, and retire someday on your own terms. Now, today's guest is Business Enterprise Institute founder John Brown. He's from Golden, Colorado, and he's the author of How to Run Your Business So You Can Leave It in Style, which is the #1 selling book about exit planning. Now, if you want more information about John, about Business Enterprise Institute, about John's book, please visit the show notes on our website. So welcome back to the show, John. Today you're going to talk about, we're going to combine a couple steps actually. We're going to combine steps 6 and 7 of the exit planning process because there's a lot of similarities between the two. So I'm just going to turn that over to you and let you talk about it. Go for it.
Thanks, Norm. Well, step 6 really deals with business continuity issues. What happens if the owner passes away before they achieve their exit, their lifetime exit? And step 7 is estate planning, wealth planning, and so on. What happens to the owner's estate if they're no longer around? But for our purposes, for exit planning purposes, we tend to combine those.
Okay.
And this is a real difference in exit planning as opposed to estate planning. And as an old estate planner, when we did estate planning, we look at, well, what does the owner's estate consist of? How do we transfer that at death to the right people with the minimal estate tax consequences? Mm-hmm. So we're concerned about the transfer of property. That's not our concern so much in exit planning. Our concern in exit planning is to make sure that the income the owner enjoys today, or would like to enjoy today, is maintained even if the owner dies.
Okay.
For the benefit of the owner's family. So we look at questions like, if I were to pass away today, will the business continue? Mm-hmm. So recall in one of the earlier steps we were talking about transferable value. It gets back to transferable value. Everything in exit planning seems to get back to the ability of the business to thrive without your direct involvement. That's what leads to the highest possible value for third-party sales. That's what yields to the fastest transfers if we're transferring to insiders while still getting all the money that you want and need. And that's what leads to the ability of a business to continue or to survive your death. Mm-hmm. If you don't have transferable value, there's no way that business is going to survive. Mm-hmm. So that's the first thing. Well, if the business can't continue, we're going to look at those consequences by asking a couple of other questions. If I were to pass away today, would my family be able to continue the same stream of income we are enjoying right now? Mm-hmm. So what I find is that most owners live on a certain amount of income that actually usually doesn't vary tremendously whether their business is worth $1 million or $5 million or $10 million. Mm-hmm. We all tend to live on about the same level of income, and that's, in terms of what we spend, that's probably somewhere between $200,000 and $400,000 a year. Mm-hmm. That's what most of us are comfortable spending on, and for us to go to a much higher level, that means we're starting to think of private jets and mm-hmm. things like that. So where that has consequences is this. If I'm used to living, and my family's used to living on, let's say, $250,000 of income a year, mm-hmm. and my business is worth $1 or maybe even $5 million, what happens if I pass away? Mm-hmm. Does that money continue? Well, the first answer is, if the business doesn't continue, no income is going to continue from the business. There might be some liquidation value, but that would be very nominal. So our other assets have to make up that income deficiency of $250,000 a year in my experience. How do we make that up? Well, through other investments that we've been making throughout our business life. Mutual funds, stocks, bonds, things like that. Can that produce enough income? Well, in today's investment income climate, a 5% return would look pretty darn good to most of us year over year. And since this money needs to continue for decades, we don't want to take undue risk. So to have $250,000 of income, we would need investment capital of about $5 million. That's hard to do when you're not getting anything for your business.
Yeah.
Well, so how do we make up that difference? We have investment capital, but the other thing we can have at death is life insurance on the owner's life. So I'm not licensed to sell life insurance. I've never been licensed to sell anything in my life. The only license I have, in fact, is a driver's license. But I do know that if an owner dies and you don't have enough funds set aside to maintain the lifestyle you wanted to enjoy during your lifetime and that you want your family to enjoy if you don't survive, the only way really to do that, and the cheapest way, is life insurance. So that's a possible solution. The other thing to consider, though, is you may say, well, yes, but my interest in my business is worth money, and I have a buy-sell agreement because I have a co-owner. So now let's look at what happens. Now your interest in a $5 million business is $2.5 million, and you were probably taking $250,000 a year out and spending that. Now you die, your co-owner buys you out for cash, $2.5 million, and you think, boy, my planning is done, it worked out perfectly, here's $2.5 million. But you know what, if you want that $250,000 a year of income to continue, you need another $2.5 million of investments. My point is that the value of your company, even if you get full value for it in cash, usually is not sufficient to replace not the profits and income you derive, but just what you spend, let alone all the other income that is available to you that you don't take or that you invest outside the company. So we need to really be aware and be careful of what happens if you were to die too soon. Is there enough income in my outside investments or through the proceeds of my business to allow my family to continue without a diminishment of income? Will my business continue? And will my business then be transferred to the people I want to transfer it to? That's really the third question. So the thinking process and the solution process in the event of a death is a bit different in some ways than a lifetime transfer, except for this. You have to have transferable value if the business is going to continue.
Okay, great. So that was step 6 and 7. Thank you again, John Brown, for joining us for all these episodes. If you want to know more information about John and Business Enterprise Institute, please visit our website. And while you're there, you'll have an opportunity to subscribe to our newsletter, which is written by John Brown, and you can become eligible to win a free copy of his #1 selling book about exit planning.